even easier and safer. South African headquartered company Entersekt is helping to streamline making payments on the go by bringing this functionality into consumers' banking apps. And to unpack this further, we are joined on the line by Entersekt CEO Schalk Nolte and also their partner, Managing Director Allison Collier of Endeavour, the leading supporter of high-impact entrepreneurs around the world that focus on companies who are ready to scale, because that is where the highest job and wealth creation occur.
Exactly, and where it comes from is it's a bit of an engineering acronym, but it started off with electronic interactive security, and that's the roots of our company in terms of authentication and trying to solve the problems in terms of internet banking security.
Yeah, now what are these problems? What are these problems? Because it seems like our mobile app is really becoming a force to be reckoned with.
It is. The interesting part, and it all started several years back, and South Africa is a very interesting market in that it's in terms of banking infrastructure, it is actually quite first world. A number of the things that we do here are actually not even heard of or in place in other parts of the world. But obviously we have third world problems in terms of other aspects, which makes it quite prevalent and I suppose opportunistic in terms of the fraud aspects that you can be a victim of here. So, as an example, we've seen a number of things. People steal money and hop across the border and the like. So let me explain to you the problem with phishing. It is actually quite scary what it is. So two-factor authentication is a technology that was designed to solve phishing, right? And phishing means literally it's somebody sending out a bunch of emails, like a fisherman throwing out a net and seeing what they can catch. So that's where the term actually comes from.
Okay.
So what protects you is something called two-factor authentication, and it means two factors, something you have, in this case your mobile device, and something you know, which is your username and your password. So the idea is, if I steal your house keys or your car keys, obviously you can know that this is gone, and you can change your locks, and that should protect you. The problem with a piece of information is, if I happen to obtain that information, it's not something that you can realize is gone.
Yeah.
So that's why people actually put these two together, something you have and something you know. In other words, it's that much harder to get both of these things. You have to trick somebody in terms of getting a piece of information, and you also have to get hold of something physical.
Okay, let me come in there, Schalk, and actually ask with regards to the business. How is the market? Is it receptive toward your innovation?
It is very much so. So, security and authentication is at the core of what I suppose is required in terms of transacting on internet, on mobile, in terms of banking and wider. And it's there's massive growth in all these channels, but the problem is that people don't trust channels; they won't use it. So for a bank specifically, it is a lot cheaper to actually provide services on mobile. Yes. Obviously, there's a lot of competition in terms of fintechs out there, so everybody is geared towards pushing services onto the mobile, and for the user it's very convenient. You can have anytime, anywhere banking. Yeah. But of course there's a risk aspect, and, and that's where we come in.
As Entersekt, you obviously have partnered with another organization which ensures that entrepreneurs do go ahead with the models. Endeavour. What kind of partnership do you have with them?
So Endeavour is a very interesting organization. They are in essence an NGO or a non-for-profit, and they want to ensure that entrepreneurship is built out in terms of creating jobs as far as possible. So what they do is they go out and they find high growth companies and entrepreneurs and try and support them to actually scale their business. Firstly, obviously, to scale the business side, but secondly, I suppose the side effect of that is adding and creating more jobs. So that's something that we really aspire to in terms of entrepreneurship. I think it's something that we as a company also support as far as wide as we can. So I think it's a natural fit with regards to Endeavour.
No, all right then. I'm actually now going to be bringing in Allison, and Allison is obviously with Endeavour. Let's bring her in and let's hear her side of the story and what she has to say. Her name is Allison Collier. She is with Endeavour. A very good afternoon, Allison.
Hi, Dan. No, thanks so much, and what a pleasure to be speaking to yourself and Schalk today.
I would like to find out, how does Endeavour identify high market entrepreneurs, seeing that you've obviously partnered with Entersekt?
Yeah, so how we identify the high impact entrepreneurs is we've got a wonderful team of mentors, that both locally and internationally, and through this team of mentors, we stay close to the entrepreneurs in local markets and look for entrepreneurs that have really got unique value propositions with strong business models and growing rapidly. And with that, then there's a rigorous selection process that we do working with these entrepreneurs. For example, Entersekt. And through this, we're really able to identify if these businesses are businesses that have got value propositions that will scale, successfully across South Africa and then also into the international market.
Now, is there a particular criteria? Because, if one looking at Entersekt, I also get some sort of a 4IR approach, an AI approach. Are you perhaps getting with the times?
Yeah, good question. So Endeavour, we work with businesses across all industries, and it's much more about does the business itself have a unique value proposition. So we work with some businesses in consumer goods, businesses in the tech space, like fintech example is Entersekt. We also have a number of businesses that we work with in health tech, ed tech, as well as the other industries. So right now, with all the development that's happening in the tech space, we do have the majority of the portfolio of entrepreneurs we're working with at the moment here in South Africa are in the tech space. But it's not always the case. But those businesses have got incredible scaling ability.
Okay, then let me get back to Schalk. Schalk, how has digital innovation transformed the payments industry, and what has been Entersekt's involvement thus far in the industry?
I think it is actually only starting in terms of, evolution. And I think, the interesting part is something that feels so natural to us now. The iPhone is just a little over 10 years old. Prior to that, there wasn't even smartphones. And what we are seeing now is that you can use your phone and you don't even need to take your wallet, to go shopping, to go out, to go to a coffee shop. And I think that will only get better, where you can literally use this device as an anchor and do anything, peer-to-peer payments, complete interactions. And what our involvement has been is literally to provide that underpinning security authentication, which is a foundational layer to the end user, and then also to build a lot of these things. So we've partnered, as an example, with Nedbank and MasterCard with their MasterPass solution in banking application, because with a lot of these things, you get a chicken egg. You either need users or you need acceptance. And what we've managed to do with the millions of customers that we have through our banking partners, and obviously as their end users, but our technology supports this, is to enable all of these things and bring it to better. And that's what we hope to take to the globe where we operate. We operate in 46 countries, and there's a lot of things with millions of end users that we will enable all of these payment innovations to come to the fore quicker.
Okay, now that I understand your involvement in the industry and how far you span, in terms of the countries that you service, and let me ask Allison this question. Allison, insofar as your involvement as an organization into Entersekt, did you probably have to, what kind of support did you have to render?
So, with Entersekt, just like with all the other businesses, the support that's offered is really tailored to, exactly what Entersekt needs, given where their growth phase is at in their life stage of their business. So, for example, just a couple of recent pieces of work or support that we engaged with Entersekt. So, they're currently in the process of a capital raise, and so through the global network that we have and the Global Catalyst Fund that runs out of New York, we've been able to link Entersekt up to a number of really interesting international VCs based either out of San Francisco, New York, or London, who really will, be the right, or potentially the right strategic partners for Entersekt as they go into their next phase of growth internationally. And there are other examples where we're very fortunate with the mentors that we've got within our global network. And so with that, a couple of examples. Earlier this year, Schalk, for example, had the opportunity to meet with the CEO and founder of Stripe, Patrick Collinson, and so really, learn from him and hear how he went about building his business, and therefore take those learnings and apply those lessons in his growth plan for Entersekt. And similarly, we've connected Schalk up to a number of other entrepreneurs from emerging markets that have successfully expanded into the internationally.
Yeah.
And so I want to say it's invaluable advice. So.
Now, I'm sure the three of us understand what we are talking about, but my concern is in terms of the market. Is South Africa in particular ready for these kind of innovations? Because one could say this is the second offering. It's something a bank can also refer you to and say, these are the kind of apps we have that you can go through. Are people receptive, Schalk?
They are, but the interesting part of what we do is literally enable this as a new feature inside the banking application. In other words, the customer doesn't have to do anything. There's no choice to be made. It's just the next time you update your banking app, there's a new feature. And I think that's the magic of what this is. It ensures that you can now use your payment mechanism without having to carry around cash or a wallet anywhere and everywhere. It's one of these things I've always wanted to ensure that if you go as a tourist, international tourists come in and want to buy something next to the road, as a tourist does. Why can't they use cards? And I think this is what the payment revolution, and specifically QR, ensures that you can use payment mechanisms across everything, and not only where you have a physical point of sale. That's the magic of what it brings. It brings digital payments. Just a very wide audience in terms of acceptance.
We're talking about this digital payment. Perhaps, in brief, Schalk, in terms of just being brief, how would you perhaps educate, the public about digital payment?
Education, I think, yet again, what we've done is we've ensured that the bank should worry about your security. And, that's one of the things, there's a lot of fears out there. Is this safe? Is there something that I can just need to worry about, etc.? And I think that's the magic of what we do. We enable this inside the banking application where you can do other functionality already. So I think the specifically on the banking app side, as we've seen with, a number of statistics and wider, it is the safest way to bank. PCs and these things are much more susceptible to malware and other things. So I think that in terms of the public out there, it's something that you needn't be scared of. If you're concerned about is it the right application and wider, go for your banking application. The bank ensures that those questions are taken care of. And I think it's very exciting time in terms of acceptance. It means you can do more and in a wider space.
No, I get it completely. Now, Allison, for entrepreneurs as well as the startups that would like to get in touch with you, what are the steps they would have to follow?
Right, sure. So the entrepreneurs that we work with, maybe just to reemphasize, we work with medium-sized entrepreneurs that are really relatively well developed with their offering, and they're ready to take their business to the next level. So it's typically businesses that have got an annual revenue of, on average, around 50 million rand a year. But for the tech businesses, just because of the nature of that industry, there we're working with businesses in the tech space that have got annual revenues usually of 10 and 20 million. And then when a business is at that stage in the local market and the operation is founder-led, and they're really looking to either expand their offering across a number of channels here in South Africa and scale across our country locally, or take their offering internationally, that's the right time for the team to get in touch with Endeavour. And then we'll start working with them and get them through our selection process and to the local and international selection panels, which then get them to join Endeavour.
Now the contacts.
The contact. So the best thing is you can just go onto the website. Our website address is www.endeavour.org, and there's a application. You just get in touch with us through that channel.
No, thank you very much. That's Allison Collier. Allison is the Managing Director at Endeavour. Thanks for joining us, Allison.
Great. Thanks so much.
It's a pleasure.
Great to speak to you.
Thank you very much. Now, Schalk, let me conclude with you as well and find out from you as to how can people get hold of you. What steps should they follow in order to become part of your network?
So I think in terms of network, we are obviously also, looking for talent in terms of hiring people, engineers, coders, these things. I think the easiest way is just yet again our website, www.entersekt.com, entersekt.com. And there's, email us info@entersekt.com. We're happy to be in touch. And yes, if you're an entrepreneur looking for some advice or guidance, yet again, we love trying to support this network, and I think that's the way we support growth and creating new jobs. So whatever we can do, we would happily assist.
Thank you very much for joining us. That's Schalk Nolte, Chief Executive Officer at Entersekt. And if you're wondering who and what is Entersekt, it's a business-to-business fintech. It works with the banks and other financial services providers to meet consumer needs, be they long-established concerns or emerging preferences. Schalk, thank you very much for joining us, and
thank you, Tabisa.
We look forward to also becoming a part of having the app in our cell phone applications.
Sounds super. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.